experts can join us. I with you. I have to view its action. So Priya tells me all of you will review the creation that has already happened. So I'll just present my screen. Priya, just let me know when the screen is visible.
Okay. Yes, it's visible.
Okay. The role here is, as reviewers, is we wanted to filter out the questions completely wherever you feel there could be even an iota of possibility of objections from the candidates. If you feel there is any possibility which will lead to any kind of complication later on after the exam, you have every right to modify. You have every right, if it is not something which can be modified, discard the question completely. It is something, we don't want a right answer to the question. We want, something more than that. We wanted to solve as a candidate and try to find as much as possible the errors that could creep in after the examination. So you can either modify or discard the question. You have the full authority to do that. You can modify the question when you feel there is any grammatical typing error that is quite obvious. You can make the changes. You can modify the options if you have a better suggestion for the option, for the distractors, for the right answer, you can modify. You can also, remove the ambiguity if you feel there is some kind of, there's possible that there are more than one logic to solve the question, and there's some kind of ambiguity in a sense that it could not be properly understood by the candidates. You can modify the question completely. Also check if there are some units missing. There are, at points we have, some of the questions which are data interpretation questions. So please check if there are any units missing. You can add that. There are instances where you can suggest to discard the question. If you see the question is it has some political or social, racial biases, it has some brand names, you can completely discard the question if you think it cannot be easily changed. But please do not let any kind of bias or any kind of brand names go into the paper at all. We cannot manage that, and it's later on it creates a lot of issues for us after the examination. You feel after solving the question, if you feel it's not a single logic question, there can be multiple logics to solve this question. You cannot mend it easily. Please discard it. You can write there to discard the question, then we will take a call on it. If the question, as I said, if the question is ambiguous, there is no correct answer, and it is not easy to modify, please move ahead. You can suggest discard the question and please move ahead with it. So this is, in a nutshell, what is expected out of this review process that we are going through right now. Not just to get the right answer, but to actually to think what the objections could be, what candidates could come up with later at after the examination. Because what happens is all the candidates, especially the coaching centers, would sit with the question paper, solve the questions once again, and their only focus is to find issues in the question, find loopholes where they could fire an objection to us. So that is what the review process should be. That is what it should filter out completely. Another thing I would want to talk to you about, the issues that we're facing right now. There are, first of all, I'll just let you know the topics that will be there for your review. There will be seating arrangements, order detections, syllogisms, equality, inequality, verbal series completions, some basic logical operations, directions, coding, decoding, analogy, and similarly numerical reasoning, you'll have series. Again, numerical analogy, number-based analogy questions. You'll have basic numerical operations, some very, very basic questions where numbers are involved. And as I said, data interpretation questions will be there. So this is more or less what will comprise of the review process. I want to start with the common errors which we have been facing a lot in the creation that has been happening right now. So this question, if you see, is a question which we have taken from the examination some time back, and this had to be ignored. This was not reckoned for the merit ranking because of this issue. This is something I've been stressing a lot. Wherever we have seating arrangements, we cannot give statements like W is to the right of X. Now, if you see here, we have two possible arrangements here. Now, this is a question based on seating arrangement in a straight line, as simple as that. The very basic question of seating arrangement. Now, when we say W is to the right of X, if you see here, W is to the right of X, and here also W is to the right of X. What the author meant here was W is to the immediate right of X. Now, because this immediate one word was not mentioned here, the entire question had to be dropped. Now, this is something whenever you come across seating arrangements, please ensure that immediate is there, exactly to the right or immediate right of X is written somewhere so that it's clear that it's, the immediate next person. It's not anywhere to the right. So please ensure in the seating arrangements that, some words, there are, some pointers which are very, very important are there. Similarly, circular table arrangement. Now, one thing which we have been facing a lot is that, the statements are like D is to the right of A. Now, in a circular table, it does not, make much sense to say D sits to the right of A. If you see here in this, D is also to the right of A. Here also D is to the right of A. Now, it's a circular table. Everybody is to right also and to left also of somebody. So it's very important that we specify that D is to the immediate right of it. Also, if we ask how many people sit between A and D. Now, if we take only this, for example, I would say nobody sits between A and D. And some other candidate could say there are 4 people sitting between A and D. If people are sitting in a circular table or a square table which goes circular, which can be counted from left as well as right, it's important to check in a question whether it is written how many people between A and D when counted from the right of D, left of D, whatever. But then some direction should have been given here. So please check if the question makes sense, that from left and from right, we can have different possible answers. So please go through it once, whether this is specifically mentioned or not. Again, this is another question which we have taken from one of the exams some time back. Here also immediate word was missing. So that was the reason we have 2 also as an answer. We have 3 also as an answer. So again, we had to drop this question. Another thing I wanted to emphasize on when you're going through the review of the questions, whenever you have analogy type of questions, whenever you have coding, decoding, please check very, very carefully that we have 2 examples here. We cannot stop at one example ever. If you see here, 12 is related to 72 in the same way as question mark is related to 98. Now what happens here is, see, the logic here was 12 square divided by 2 is equal to 72. Now that is something which the author intended. There's nothing wrong with the question. So similarly, the answer had to be 14 square. So the answer was 14. This was the real intention of the author. But what happened here, the objection that we faced and the objection because of which it had to be dropped was if you subtract 72 and 12 from 72, the answer is 60. So if you follow the same logic here, the answer can also be 38. So this type of issues will always arise if we have only one example in such type of questions. This is very easy to deal with. Just give another example. If the question looked something like this, we could have saved this question. Even if there are 2 logics between 12 and 72, the same logic, it's it's highly unlikely that we follow the same logic in the second example as well. So whenever you have such questions, please ensure that there is a second set also put there. Do not accept any such questions where there's only one example given. You can just simply write that creator should add one more example and then move ahead. You do not even have to solve it. We will get it corrected from the creator, but do not accept a single set in any case. Another very important example here is, again, this is one question which had to be dropped. Now what happened here is, we are asking about, we have given names. So there's Anuj, there's Anu, Alka, and we are saying that two of them are married, and say female, there are two teachers, two are male, two are females, and biology is taught by a male. No, now we are assuming that Anuj and Ankit will always be male names. Now, this is something which is prejudiced in our minds a lot, but then it's again very very I would say region specific in India. So if you say there are some names like say Kiran, in north it's always a female name. If you come down south, it becomes a male name always. So whenever you come across such questions, please ensure that names do not determine genders. You please ensure that there is, say, Mr. or Mrs. or in any way if you can specify that a boy or a girl, whatever specifies the gender of the name, we have to do not accept any such questions where the names are determining genders. So these were a few very, very common errors I thought I'd just talk to you. And these are all questions which I've taken from the exam which were dropped because of these errors. We have also changed a few instructions lately because we have faced a few objections. And these instructions will come to you later in the sample questions that we'll send to you. Now, please ensure that these specific instructions are put in these types of questions. Here, instead of a simple instruction like three are alike in some manner, we have given that second number is obtained by performing a certain mathematical operation on the first number. Now, what the candidates here would do is they would just simply subtract 168 and 16, or they would just add it, or there are thousands of operations that are possible. So we wanted to tell them that you perform some operation on 16 to arrive at 168. So that is why we have changed the instruction to what it is right now. Similarly, here also we have changed the instruction. This is again because the candidates would go on and break the numbers. Like 2 and 6, they would 26, they would break to 2 and 6 and come up with some other logic. Now 14, they would break to 1 and 4. Now it's not possible for a single person, be it a creator or a reviewer, to come up with all the possible logics if we give them a set of 2 or 3 numbers. It's not possible for anyone. So what we thought is we'll put a note for the candidates so that we tell them that you're not supposed to break a number into its constituent digits, that you have to perform operations on the numbers that are given to you. Please ensure that these instruction changes are there in the creator sets. Also, this type of question, if you come across these type of questions, you please leave a remark that this question may be changed, because we don't want a grid type of a question. First of all, it's something which we have to again change for visually impaired candidates. This is not acceptable because this visually impaired candidates, it's not easy for them to attempt these questions. And also because of vertical, horizontal, diagonal, there are so many arrangements possible which come, which result in so many different answers that this has become very, very ambiguous. So if you come across, any numbers which are put in a grid, please change it. Please leave a remark to change the question. So I'll just conclude the issues that we are facing right now. Is mostly poorly framed instructions. Instructions are very, very when we say odd man out questions, which one is odd man out? Now this is not an instruction that we want. What we want them to do is that 3 of the following 4 are alike in a certain way and thus form a group. We have instruction which is standardized after a lot of research, after a lot of objections that we have faced. So this is something which should be there in every exam. So please ensure that the instructions are proper and the information is not incomplete. Like I just said, coding, decoding, analogy type of questions. Do not accept any question where the authors have given only one example. We cannot move ahead with any such question. Leave a comment that you add one example. Do not accept any incomplete information at all. Prejudices, like I said, there are examples of names explaining genders. Again, it's not acceptable. If there are names, we have to put either Mr. or MS to specify the gender that is there. If you feel the level is unsuitable, Now, here we are not looking for very, very difficult questions. The level is not such that the complexity be very high. So please ensure that the complexity, it suits. The questions are not so difficult that the said logic are not so twisted that the candidates cannot answer it in a particular time. One or two questions which are difficult is okay, but it should not be that one, say, coding, decoding takes 10 minutes to solve it, so twisted. Then you can leave a remark to simplify. We can tell the creator to simplify the logic a little. Also, the focus should be right. You see, the classification has been given to the creators as well. If we want them to write, say, a question based on alphanumeric analogy, then ensure that it doesn't have only numbers in it. Something, it doesn't become mathematics in place of reasoning. Like I've seen direction type of questions where lot of Pythagoras theorem has to be used. So ensure that it remains reasoning. It doesn't move to very high level English or high level mathematics depending on the calculations, etc. These are few issues. These a few things that you may take care of, and that should serve the purpose. So that is all I have right now. And after this, I would like to take you through a few sample questions. I would just like to go through the sample questions very quickly so that I can explain to you in detail what I told you here. So till now, have any questions, or can I move to the sample questions? If you don't have any questions, I'll just quickly take you through the sample questions. Priya, is the Word document visible?
I can see some people have queries over here.
Yeah, okay.
Preeti ma'am, Vandana ma'am, and Sunita ma'am.
Sure.
नमस्कार मैम।
नमस्ते मैम, कैसे हैं?
ठीक है मैम। इसमें कुछ इशू मुझे डायरेक्शन में भी आते हैं।
Okay,
तो
ma'am.
वो इशू मैं बताना चाहती हूँ कि एक्चुअली जैसे हम कोई एग्जांपल दे रहे हैं कि कोई 10 मीटर पहले ईस्ट गया, फिर 15 मीटर नॉर्थ गया, तो एग्जैक्टली इसमें अगर लोग डायरेक्शन पूछते हैं तो नॉर्थ ईस्ट लिख देते हैं, पर ये सही नहीं है। इसमें एग्जैक्टली 45 डिग्री का रहना चाहिए। तो ये इशू कई क्वेश्चनों में डायरेक्शन के भी आता है जो हमने फेस किया।
If we have a direction जो नॉर्थ और ईस्ट के बीच में है, नॉट नेसेसरली 45 डिग्रीज, आप उसको नॉर्थ ईस्ट बोल सकते हैं। एग्जैक्टली डिग्रीज ही नॉर्थ ईस्ट होना चाहिए ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है
मैम। ये जरूरी है, एग्जैक्टली 45 पे ही रहना चाहिए।
See, ma'am, the thing is, ना वो नॉर्थ में है ना वो ईस्ट में है, so anywhere in between, you can name it north east.
But मैम, this is wrong. ऑब्जेक्शन इस पे आ सकते हैं।
इस पे नहीं है। I know technically जो आप बोल रहे हैं कि 45 डिग्रीज को हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट बोलते हैं, but if you see even in maps, when we say north east, it doesn't mean exactly 45 degrees.
बट मैम कहा तो एग्जैक्टली 45 डिग्री उसी को जा सकता है, तो एग्जाम में इस पे ऑब्जेक्शन आ सकते हैं। बाकी आप जैसा कहिए।
नहीं आएंगे मैम, दैट इज फाइन। जब हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट बोलते हैं, सो इट विल कम टू द एनी सेक्टर बिटवीन नॉर्थ एंड ईस्ट, दैट इज ओके। नहीं आएंगे ऑब्जेक्शंस, नहीं आए हैं अभी तक, कभी नहीं आए हैं।
ओके, मुझे तो लगा ऐसा लिख देना चाहिए 10 मीटर टू द नॉर्थ ऑफ, 10 मीटर टू द ईस्ट ऑफ।
10 मीटर्स हम राइट एंड लेफ्ट की भी बात करते हैं उसमें। तो वी मूव 10 मीटर्स टू द नॉर्थ, टेक अ राइट। तो जब हम ऐसे वाले क्वेश्चंस देते हैं तो हम उसमें ये भी देते हैं कि ऑल टर्न्स आर 90 डिग्री टर्न्स ओनली। ये एक टर्म डालना जरूरी है उसमें।
ओके ओके
राइट। तो जब हम डायरेक्शंस की बात करते हैं कि नॉर्थ है, साउथ है, और उसके बीच में कभी भी आता है, तो अगर आप मैप्स भी रीड करते हैं तो मैप्स आर आल्सो रेड इन द सेम मैनर। A point between north and east, वो पूरे सेक्टर में is called north east.
ओके ओके मैम।
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, uh, as you told that we are just discarded or modify the items. If we raise the questions for the SMEs, then you can send to the SMEs or directed the reviewer can change or modify the items. Because as per my experience, you are not mentioning the answer there. So
Right.
then, yeah.
So what
So
happens, madam, is say if the question is modifiable, we would request that please modify the question as to the extent possible. And then the later stage is once the question is modified, it is sent back to the creator also for the creator also to give an okay that the creator agrees with the changes that the reviewer has made. So it doesn't stop there. So the changes that you have made will go back to the creator. The creator will say yes, agree with the changes, and then we move ahead. But if you feel the question is not suitable at all, that the question should not be given at all in the exam, you have every right to suggest that discard the question.
In a case of the modification, there is no need to take the explanation from the SMEs how they can, what are the perception towards that, so they he or she can bring the items.
No, see, as a feedback, we are not taking this as a feedback exercise. Right? That
Okay.
comes later how the expert could have modified, but right now we want to finalize these questions. Right? In itself, this is a big exercise. Right? So you, if you can modify the question, request is to completely modify the question so that it becomes absolutely perfect for us to use it. But then again, having said that, this will again go back into the cycle. This will go back to the creator, which itself will give the creator a feedback what was wrong with the question and how it was modified. See, as a reviewer, you will also work very hard to improve on the question. So I know it. We also send it to the creator for the creator also to take a feedback as to why it was changed.
Yeah. And in some question, specifically in a coding decoding, sometimes we are not getting the what is the basic reason behind that, the coding and decoding. So it's okay we modify or discard the items, or we can ask the SMEs the reason.
Uh, if you are not getting the logic you are asking, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in case you're not getting the logic, you can leave a comment that no logic found.
Yeah.
Okay, so the creator later on will write the logic and send it back to you. Again, it will come back to you.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you agree with the logic of the creator, you can give the question a go ahead.
Then
And
can I finalize the item?
if you still feel the question is not right or you don't agree with the logic the
Logic.
creator has given, you still can suggest to discard the question. That maybe it happens. Sometimes the reviewers feel the question is a little too difficult for the level. Or maybe it will take say 5-10 minutes for the candidates to actually understand what the question is. But then if you don't get the logic right, that no logic found. Even after trying for some time, you are still not getting the logic. You can write no logic found. Do not directly discard it at this stage. Let the logic come to you and then you take a call whether you agree with the logic or not.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, Amita. Hello, Priya. Preeti here.
Hello, ma'am.
All right. So, one in continuation with what Dr. Sunita was saying, I would suggest that the reviewer should give the comment on the modification in the comment section, and the creator should modify the question because it leads to. I have seen that like sometimes the reviewer modifies it and it becomes totally something else. So since the question is going to go back to the creator anyways, and since the creator should take the responsibility of creation, then they modify based on the suggestion if they agree with the reviewer. So the stem, the language, it should be modified by the creator. That is what my suggestion is, because otherwise it creates so much back and forth. If you start modifying the stem, start modifying the options. So
right, I get the point. But the thing is, if you want to modify a question, you are writing it in a comment, right? Modify the stem. Now, how to modify the stem is actually the issue here. The creator would want to know what the right stem is, what the instruction should be. Now, that also you will have to give to the creator.
In the comment.
That in the comment. So might as well, instead of writing in the comment, might as well write it in the question itself.
Yeah, but that's what was
That's what it
happening.
was.
It happened only once with me, that the questions are coming completely changed. And after some time, it became so frustrating because the reviewer was using the logic which they think and totally missing the logic which was originally there, which was a totally valid logic. And they changed the questions, they changed the options and created a new question actually.
Yeah,
So-
actually, they are not modified. They are created the new questions.
Yeah,
And you again
so
need
they
to
actually created a
review
new
that
question. Oh yeah, this is the logic ही change हो जाता है. So then it was like you change one back to second back, and now after that it was like, oh my God, I'm recreating the question again. So
Right.
let
That I understand. Yes, yes. But I see these types of questions would be very few where you would have to change or create the question entirely, completely new. I would suggest do not go on and create a question completely. But when you're talking about the modifications in the STEM, some slight modification, instruction changes here and there, you might as well do it in the question itself in track mode. Rather than leaving a comment, which again the creator would again do the same thing again and again, to the
like
extent
if you're changing the directions, like if the
right. I get it, ma'am. I get it. You're saying you're talking about the questions which are so problematic that you have to create it all over again. I'm saying do not go to that extent. Do not on
please
create
do
the
not
question
change
at
the
all.
logic of the question. If you have
Do
to
not
change
do
the
that.
logic of the question, discard it.
As good as creating
That's
the
all.
question.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes. Do not discard it up front. Maybe the creator has a logic which, it's very human for us, for reviewers also to miss.
Yeah, we miss it many times in some
So
of the things.
you can just write a comment that no logic found. Then the creator will give you the logic and then you can find out whether you agree with it or not. Right? But small changes, instruction changes or some, grammatical changes here and there, I would suggest that you make in the question itself in track mode. Make all your changes in track mode so that we understand what was creator's STEM or what was the creator's original creation and what were the changes done by the reviewers.
All right, I agree to that, and maybe you can standardize the colors also, in which the corrections have to be
We can do
maybe
that.
highlighted or something.
Yes.
And the second issue for me, which I have faced quite often, is grammatical.
Grammatical, that's correct.
Yeah, grammatical, language, and it's almost like creating a new question, correcting the entire grammatical mistakes or reforming the sentences and all those things. That would be too much to correct. So in those questions, I usually make one or two example things and then I ask the TCS to take care of it. So because we have a big program and making grammatical, because when there are grammatical issues, they are across the paper. They are not one or two grammatical issues.
Yes, absolutely. So what I would suggest is you make give the creator a few examples, like in one or two, how it can be modified, and then write a comment for the creator that the same modifications be carried out in the remaining questions also.
Okay.
That's all. You don't have to make the same changes in all the questions.
Okay. Yeah. That's
only leave a comment for the creator that this change has to be done. So the creator will make the changes later on in all the remaining questions.
Got it. Fine.
Yeah, Amita ji, one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you also need to write, required to write the solution of the questions?
Yes, ma'am. We'll need that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But we need this in very brief. I think you've already been doing that. We do not need a step-by-step, very, very elaborate solution, but it should give us a clue on how did you solve the question. For example, if it is coding decoding question, you give us the basic code. Say if the code is say +5 +6 like that, then you just write +5 +6 +7 in alphabetical order. Whatever. Just give us a clue. What the basic
is. It is very important because if you don't have the review solution, then especially in mental ability, because there could be two different logics.
Yes,
so definitely.
And that is, solution is now checked by the system. So if a solution is missing in the cell, Priya will show you the templates, how the templates look like. So if the solution is missing, our system will not accept that question at all. So even if we miss putting a solution, we will come to know that solution is missing. So it will come back to you for a solution.
You send the same template that you sent for the creation of the item?
No, the template will be different. For reviewer, almost the same, but yes, we add a few more cells there.
Okay.
Priya will take you through the templates after this presentation. Do we have any other question? Then I'll just quickly take you through the sample questions that were given to the creators also. I've also included a few checkpoints. Priya, I hope there's no other question. Sorry, I can't see the screen, so I'm asking you.
Yeah, what happened?
Is there any other question?
No, I still see Sunita ma'am's hands up. Sunita ma'am, you have any more queries?
No, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just quickly take you through, what we had given to the creators to take care of. So wherever we have the seating arrangement questions, we have, like I just said, we have told them it's very important. I have a few checklist points here for them to take care of. So if they're writing circular table, we have told them to specify that they're all facing the center, which is very important. So please check that they have written these checkpoints there. Also, like I said, if they are adjacent to each other, we've told them to write that they're immediate neighbors. We have told them to add only when we say only one, only say when we say two people sit between Puneet and Aman. It could be two people, because there are four people, the objection which the candidates raises, if there are four people, there are still two people between them, right? It's as good as saying how many months have 28 days, all of them have. So just writing two people sit between A and B does not make sense. We have to write only two people sit between A and B. So a few things, a few pointers is something which we have given. It's very important that they specify that they are facing the center. If they're writing circular table, they specify that there are four people sitting in the corners. There are four people sitting exactly in the middle of the sides. Again, use of immediate neighbors, use of, say they're facing the center of the table is very important. If it's a straight line arrangement, it's very important that they specify all of them are facing north or all of them are facing south. And also, one thing which we have seen is straight line arrangements where people are sitting in a straight row. Many experts have been writing who is sitting at the extreme corner. Now, this is something you can check. This is something we've come through, come across very often. There are no corners in a line. So this is again was something which was objected to. If it's a straight line, a straight row, we call extreme ends, extreme left, extreme right. Also, ensure that the experts have written extreme everywhere. Saying A sits at the right end could mean anything. It could not necessarily mean extreme right end. D is also at the right end. F is also at the right end. This is again something can come as an objection. Whenever we say person who is sitting last should be written as extreme left end, extreme right end. They can take care of few pointers which I have given to the experts as well. Again, week type of questions where we have something happening in a week. It's very important that we specify that we are talking about the same week. That is starting on Monday, ending on Sunday of the same week. What happened once was we were talking about, a few days here and there, and a few candidates took it as, say, starting on a Friday and ending on, say, Wednesday of the other week. So it changed the question completely. And then we had to drop that question. So wherever we have, weeks specifying some days of the week, please ensure that we have mentioned that we are talking about only 1 week. So it's all the same week. So all these pointers, the building type of questions, we specify that there's the lowermost floor is numbered 1 is very important because here people living in Mumbai or Delhi, big cities know that ground floor is most of the times labeled as G. We do not, floor number 1 is actually second floor in a building. So to remove all those errors, we have put that lowermost floor is numbered 1. Now, this happened in one of the exams where this candidate had never been to the multi-storied building, so had no idea that the lowermost floor is not named 1. No, it was G. So that created a lot of confusion around how the floors are numbered. So this is also something very important. If you come across some floors, please ensure that this is there. Lowermost floor is numbered 1. The floor above is number 2. And the topmost floor is numbered whatever the topmost floor is. Just ensure that all these points are there. We'll also share this document with you. So Priya, if you can forward this document also to all the reviewers, maybe the checklist will help review process also.
Yeah, sure.
So all the pointers are there. I request you to go through all, whatever checklists are there, a few very important points, analogy type of questions. I'll just show one to you. See, this is one of the instructions that we have added. When we say he turns right, he turns left, we never mention that all turns are 90-degree turns. Now, this is also very important. Whenever you come across such questions, direction-based questions, please ensure that it's written there that all turns are 90-degree turns only, unless specified by the creator that it's 45 degrees or whatever. But then please ensure that this is there. The instruction, one checkpoint should be the instruction. Instruction, if it is properly given by the creator, half of our job is done right there. Now it's taken care. And here also we are not depending on only one option. The most of the times what we see is we have only one example and then we ask the next one. So please ensure that there is one example, there is second example, and always the third one is asked. Otherwise, you can write a comment, please add a second example. And then you can go ahead. You don't even have to solve it. You come across a single example, do not solve it. Whether it is in this format or in this format, do not accept anything with only one example, whether this is this kind of question or it is numerical analogy type of question, coding, decoding, anything. Even here, if you see, we have given two examples everywhere so that we take care of the objections. Here also, when we talk about number analogy, we have given 2 examples and then asked for the third one. So this is something we'll share with you. Here also we have triad-based questions. We are asking them which is the similar triad, analogy again. Again, it's based on 2 examples. So a few things, if you can just go through the document before you start the review, that would help us standardize to some extent. So that is all I wanted to share with you. In case you have any question regarding this. Otherwise, Priya would like to show you once the templates that will come to you. In case you have any question, I'll be happy to take them.
अमिता जी,
Yes, ma'am.
यस मैम, जो आपने स्लाइड शो करते समय पहला क्वेश्चन दिखाया था
Slides में? Yes.
हाँ, इसी स्लाइड में शो करते समय आपने पहला क्वेश्चन दिखाया था, हु इज सिटिंग, सैंपल में हु इज सिटिंग बिटवीन पुनीत एंड अनामिका करके कुछ था
इसमें, हाँ जी,
हाँ, ये पहला क्वेश्चन। तो मैम इसमें ये ऑब्जेक्शन आ सकता है या मैंने कि बाकी भी तो 3 लोग उनके बीच में ही बैठे हैं, इसकी जगह अगर ये लिखा जाए कि हु इज द इमीडिएट नेबर ऑफ बोथ दिस एंड दिस, तो ये ज्यादा बेटर रहेगा।
Right. So instead of who is sitting between Puneet and Anamika, उसका आंसर
तो
प्रतीक,
चारों आ जाएंगे।
उसका आंसर अमन भी है।
हाँ, अमन भी है।
करेक्ट।
तो इसको इसमें मुझे लगता है ये लिखना ज्यादा बेटर रहेगा कि हु इज द इमीडिएट नेबर ऑफ बोथ।
यस यस एब्सोल्युटली मैम, इसमें यही एरर है, यही एरर इसमें स्पेसिफाई किया हुआ है।
ओके ओके।
राइट, तो इसमें इंस्टेड ऑफ आस्किंग, किसी भी सर्कुलर टेबल में आप ये स्क्वायर टेबल वाला एग्जांपल ले लीजिए, कहीं भी जहां पे भी सर्कुलर कंप्लीट होता है, कोई भी सर्कल कंप्लीट होता है, वहां पर हम ये नहीं पूछ सकते कि इनके बीच में कौन बैठा है, बिकॉज सभी सबके बीच में बैठे। वी हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी स्पेसिफिक। अगर हम पूछ भी रहे हैं हु इज सिटिंग बिटवीन, से यहाँ पर अगर हम पूछ रहे हैं हु सिटिंग बिटवीन बी एंड ए, देन वी हैव टू स्पेसिफाई व्हेन काउंटेड फ्रॉम द राइट ऑफ बी। यही एरर है यहाँ पे। यहाँ पर क्वेश्चन ठीक है, हु सिट सेकंड टू द लेफ्ट ऑफ डी। जब हम ऐसा बोलते हैं हु सेकंड टू द लेफ्ट ऑफ डी, फिर कोई इशू ही नहीं है, देन देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम। तो ये हम आपके साथ शेयर भी कर देंगे, एंड यू आल्सो गो थ्रू। अगर इसमें और भी आपको कुछ लगता है आपको ऐड करना चाहिए, डू लेट अस नो। आप वो यू हैव एवरी फ्रीडम, दिस इज ओनली अ सैंपल। Do not treat this as a final something which you have to completely adhere to. But यहाँ हमने specify करने का try किया है कि क्या क्या चीजें important है, कि जो अगर नहीं होंगी तो बाद में जाके objection create हो सकता है। और कुछ है मैम?
नो मैम।
Okay, I'll show you all the review template, the new review template. I'll just share my screen. Okay, so this is the type of template that will come to you. So that is why it was important that you all attend this session, because many of you all would have worked with the other format where we had everything in columns. So this is the new format. Okay, so I hope everybody is able to hear me clearly.
Yes, yes, Priya.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So basically, these parameters you're not supposed to change, okay? Because these are our keys. These are already fed into the system, so we should not be touching these. Okay, while reviewing, you will look at the question in this box. Okay, then the options are mentioned over here. Now, suppose now, and the answer key will always be removed by us. So you have to populate the answer key. So in this case, suppose for example, this is the answer. Suppose the first one is the answer. So you have to put the option number. You should not put the answer over there. Okay, so you have to put the option number of the correct answer. So here, suppose for example, if this is the first answer, correct option, okay, which means that these are the distractors. So here in this box here, you have to write whether these are valid distractors or not. So if you feel that these distractors are fine, you can just put Y. If you feel that some distractor is very impossible and it's very obvious that this cannot be a distractor, so you have to put no, and you can suggest a valid distractor over here in case you feel that this distractor is not good enough, or it gives away, actually you can very well say that this cannot be the answer. Okay. Secondly, here the difficulty level. So just check that the question is as per the difficulty level mentioned over here. So this also is already populated, nothing to be changed. So in case somebody, if this is a medium level question and you find that this question is very difficult and not a medium level question, you can just put a strike through and you can write away this is difficult, or you can just write difficult, just to indicate that this is not a medium level question, this is a difficult question. Here in optimum time to solve, you have to put whether how many seconds it will take. So actually the highest number should be 90 seconds. So 30 seconds for an easy question, 60 seconds for a medium question, and difficult question should be not more than 90 seconds. So that care has to be taken, that it's not such a difficult question that will take more than 90 seconds to solve, because candidates will not complete the paper otherwise. Here are the STEM and options as per specified subject, topic and subtopic. So you have to just do a check and you write yes or no over here. So basically, the question should be as per the subject, topic, and the subtopic provided. Now, you will be giving the correct answer here. You have to give the solution in this box, solution rational box. Okay. This box, reference box, is not applicable for LR because that is more applicable for GK type of subjects. So you will put the solution for the question in this box, in the solution rational. Now, suppose you have made some change in the stem, for example, like you found that, by adding few words, the question will, like Amita said, that you have to, make it a very specific question so that, there are no two answers possible or it's not ambiguous or something. So suppose you have put something you have added something in the stem. So, and you have highlighted it, you have to highlight it with yellow color. Okay, so let's keep the standard color as yellow. Okay, and here you will mention stem. Okay, so modified yes, no. So stem, you will say yes. Okay, and options you're not changed, difficulty you're not changed, so you will just make that no over here. Okay, and if you have, you can just put a brief comment, like a one-liner comment or something, why you have made that modification. So you can just say to make the question more specific, or to avoid the question being ambiguous, you have just modified the question a little bit so that it's a very specific question and clearly understood. So that is all about this template. I wanted to just share that, so when you get the template, you are not confused like what, so many boxes, what to fill and all. So just wanted to take you all through this template. Any questions, anybody?
I think it's clear.
Okay, so then if nobody has any questions, we can close this session. Amita, thanks a lot for conducting this session. I'm sure it will help all the SMEs. And everybody, thank you for attending this, taking some time off and attending this session and participating. Thanks a lot. So can we close this, Amita? Can we go ahead and close the session?
Yes, yeah, sure. If there are no other questions, we can go ahead and
Okay.
close this. Thank you very much. I'm sure I didn't specify anything which was new. You all are quite senior, people in your own fields. But still, we tried our best to put forward the objections that we've been facing. So I just thought we'll share with you a few points which might be of some issue later on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone. Good night.
Okay, good night, everyone.